She uploaded a TikTok boasting, holding onto his ring, ending things with the guy. Thousands of comments praised her decision. I kept quiet. When the pawnshop informed her it was valueless, the online crowd chuckled even harder than she ever had. The first time I viewed the clip, I didn't experience rage. I didn't experience pain. I just experienced silence. It was an odd, icy type of silence, like the atmosphere becomes just before a storm hits. My friend Kevin forwarded it to me without any explanation, just a message that read, "Man, you have to watch this." I clicked the link, and there she appeared. My fiancée, Jessica, or I suppose my former fiancée now. The clip was filmed inside her vehicle, with her closest friend Tiffany riding shotgun. They were both clutching champagne glasses. Jessica was laughing uncontrollably, showing off the engagement ring I had presented to her only 4 days before. It was a tight shot, the gem sparkling ideally under the light. The caption overlaid on the TikTok was straightforward and harsh. Keeping his ring. Dropping the guy. Hashtag empowered woman. Hashtag level up. Hashtag recognize your value. Then she addressed the camera, still chuckling. To fresh starts, she declared, tapping her glass against Tiffany's. And to this incredible gem of a parting gift. Appreciate the deposit on my future, honey. I scrolled lower. The clip had been live for 6 hours and was already exploding in popularity. More than 1 million views. The comments area was an overwhelming surge of encouragement for her. Yes, queen. Secure that money. This is the vibe I'm carrying into 2025. He was reaching beyond his league anyway. Well done. Guys are fleeting. Gems last eternally. I viewed it 3 times. The lady I had proposed to, the lady I believed I was creating a future with, had just traded our whole 4-year partnership for a bunch of likes and a piece of jewelry. She hadn't even shown the courtesy to say it to my face. She informed the whole World Wide Web instead. I didn't phone her. I didn't message. I didn't leave a comment on the clip. I simply set my phone aside, stepped into my workshop, and gazed at the partially completed table I was crafting for a customer. The aroma of sawdust and wood finish usually soothes me, but that day, it achieved nothing. The silence in my mind was complete. Allow me to provide some context. I'm not a complex person. I run a company creating bespoke furniture. It's a solid income, and I constructed it myself from scratch. Jessica and I had been a couple for 4 years. She relocated to my home about 2 years back. I assumed we were content. I assumed we shared the same vision. As it turned out, we weren't even on the same page. She was constantly fixated on image, on others' opinions. Her online profiles were a meticulously edited showcase of an existence she wasn't truly experiencing. An existence that, I now understood, I was funding. Her position was some unclear social media coordinator gig that hardly paid for her vehicle installments. I managed the house loan, the utilities, the trips, the endless deliveries that showed up at our doorstep. I figured it was simply part of partnering up. The proposal happened last week. I brought her to a fine restaurant, knelt on one knee, the full routine. The ring was one I'd sketched personally. A basic platinum band with 2 tiny, detailed engravings on the sides, securing a 3-carat gem that appeared every bit like a perfect diamond. She teared up. She claimed it was the loveliest item she had ever beheld. She accepted. For 4 days, she acted as the ideal, affectionate partner. She shared countless photos of the ring, mentioning me, discussing how she was the most fortunate woman alive. It was entirely fabricated, a show for her audience. All along, she was scheming this. I passed the remainder of that day in a detached, systematic fog. I didn't smash objects. I didn't drink excessively. I became methodical. First, I accessed our shared bank account online, the one I mostly supplied, which she used for food that frequently resembled luxury footwear. There was less remaining than expected. I moved my portion of the leftover funds to my individual account, and then shut it down. Next, I signed into my credit card portals. She was listed as an additional user on two. I reviewed the latest transactions. There were thousands in expenses from the past day. A lavish hotel room for the coming weekend, a buying frenzy at an upscale retailer, a costly meal with Tiffany the previous evening. She was toasting her bold step. I revoked both of her cards instantly. Then I began gathering items. I didn't toss her belongings into garbage sacks. I utilized the 6 fresh, premium suitcases she had purchased using my card that same afternoon. I folded every outfit, every pair of heels, every container of extravagant skincare. I searched the home and gathered every small ornament she had placed to claim her space. By the end, the sole proof she had resided there was a pile of costly luggage near the entrance. The final step was contacting a locksmith. For a couple $100, every lock on my property was replaced. As the locksmith wrapped up, I snapped a photo of her piled suitcases. Then I messaged a round-the-clock relocation company. I provided my location and the location of Jessica's parents' residence, 2 towns away. I eventually settled on my sofa around midnight. The home was peaceful. My home. I reviewed her popular clip once more. The comments continued pouring in. I downloaded a version of the clip to my device. Then I retired and slept deeply. Update 1: The initial outreach arrived the following afternoon. It wasn't a voice call. It was an alert from my bank's security team. They were marking a rejected purchase over $5,000 at a luxury purse boutique. Jessica was still on her victory shopping tour, oblivious that her resources had been severed. The bank agent inquired if I had approved the expense. I informed them no and to block any additional tries. The true chaos began about an hour later. A ring from an unfamiliar number. I picked up and set it to speaker. It was Tiffany. She skipped greetings. "What on earth did you do?" she yelled. "Jessica's card is failing everywhere. We're stuck at the shopping center. She's losing it." "Hi Tiffany," I responded. "I caught you in the clip. You both seem to be enjoying yourselves." There was a brief pause of shock. "That's irrelevant. Why did you stop her funds? You're her partner." "No, I'm not," I answered. "She ended it with me, recall? She broadcast it to 1 million viewers online. Did she expect I'd continue supporting her habits after that? The guy is out, Tiffany. That includes his finances too." I could hear Jessica crying loudly in the distance. "This is ridiculous. You're heartless. You can't simply act like this." "In fact, I can. Enjoy your day." I ended the call. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Jessica. Her tone blended anger and fear. "Reactivate my cards immediately," she ordered. "No, you can't treat me this way. You're attempting to shame me." "You already managed that on your own," I said. "Your clip was quite clear. You achieved precisely what you sought. Likes, spotlight, a legion of unknowns rooting for you. What you won't receive is my funds. We're finished, Jessica." "But my belongings? Where do I stay?" "I'd suggest heading home, to your folks' place. Your items should be reaching there soon. I arranged a relocation service. They're highly reliable." The call went silent. I could almost detect the thoughts churning in her mind as she absorbed my words. You gathered my stuff?" she murmured. "Every single piece. The property has been cleared of your presence. The locks are updated. You chose your path. Now I'm choosing mine. Avoid contacting me further." I disconnected and blocked both numbers. The following call, roughly 2 hours on, was from her mom. She attempted the role of composed, logical go-between. She explained Jessica was distraught, that this was an awful mix-up, and that I was exaggerating over a foolish, immature joke. "A joke?" I questioned. Your child openly terminated our engagement, gloated about retaining a ring she assumes is priceless, and embarked on a buying spree to mark the occasion. That's no joke. That's a declaration. She's merely upset, her mom argued. She didn't intend it. You understand her social media habits. You must permit her return. This is my property, I stated. And she's no longer invited. A delivery truck is en route to your home now. I recommend making room in her former bedroom. Her dad joined the call then. He was far less tactful. He began shouting about my cruelty, how I lacked authority to evict his child onto the streets. I didn't evict her to the streets, I clarified. I dispatched her and all her items straight to you. You're her family. She's your duty now. We'll take you to court, he warned. For what? I inquired. For updating locks on my personal home after your child publicly ended things with me and boasted about taking from me? For revoking a card in my name? By all means, proceed. I possess the clip. A judge would likely find it fascinating. He rambled incoherently for a bit longer and then disconnected. The remainder of the week was a foreseeable disaster. Jessica attempted to start a defamation effort, naturally. She shared a weepy new clip, alleging I was a domineering and toxic figure who had expelled her without cause after she experienced a brief uncertainty about our commitment. It backfired. Her initial clip remained online and countless individuals had preserved it. The comments on her fresh clips were overrun with users exposing her. Hold on, weren't you just flaunting ending it with him and retaining the ring? The sequence doesn't match, girl. You didn't have brief uncertainty. You had a calculated scheme to profit. Her victim narrative collapsed dramatically. The web, which had been her strongest supporter, swiftly turned into her fiercest detractor. She had constructed her whole persona on approval and reposts, and now that base was collapsing under her. And the greatest aspect was, I hadn't uttered a word. I simply observed as she unraveled herself. It's been slightly over a month now. The chaos has begun to calm, but the consequences from Jessica's TikTok triumph have been more extraordinary than I could have pictured. After her unsuccessful effort to reposition as the injured party, Jessica stayed offline for about a week. I learned via mutual contacts that returning to her parents wasn't the victorious homecoming she envisioned. They were enraged by the widespread shame and her return to her childhood space, jobless and burdened with fresh debts she couldn't handle. Her master financial strategy, her exit bonus, depended on one element: the ring. During this entire situation, she had gripped that ring like a survival tool. In her view, it was her pass to a fresh existence. A payout in the high five figures that would resolve everything. Roughly 2 weeks back, she evidently chose it was time to collect. And in an act of astonishing hubris and folly, she opted to record it for her fans. She uploaded a fresh TikTok. This one labeled, "Locking in the Funds, #empowered lady, advancing forward." The clip displayed her preparing, applying cosmetics, and speaking to the lens about her intentions. She planned to bring the ring to a premium jeweler downtown for a formal evaluation and then auction it. She discussed her spending plans with the proceeds: a brand new vehicle, initial payment on an apartment, a journey to Europe. She was nearly bubbling with anticipation. The clip concluded with her entering the jewelry shop, grinning assuredly at the lens. The clip garnered massive views, primarily from those anticipating the spectacle. They didn't wait long. About 3 hours on, another clip surfaced. It was recorded in her vehicle once more. But now, she wasn't chuckling. Her face was swollen and flushed, her cosmetics streaked, and she was amid a complete emotional breakdown. The caption on the clip was basic: "He gave me a counterfeit ring." She was weeping, scarcely forming sentences. She ranted about how the jeweler inspected the ring, examined it closely, and delivered the unwelcome truth. The band was genuine platinum. The small side stones were authentic diamonds. But the large, 3-carat main gem was not. It was moissanite. Now, for anyone unaware, moissanite is a crystal that looks nearly identical to a diamond visually. It's almost as durable, and it sparkles even more vividly. It's a stunning gem. It also costs roughly a tenth of a comparable natural diamond. She was shrieking at the lens. He said it might fetch $8,000. Not $100,000. $8,000. How does that help me? He deceived me. He shamed me. The web's response was swift and unforgiving. The breakdown clip spread even wider than her original. It was ruthless. So you're upset that the item you attempted to take from your partner wasn't as valuable as assumed? This is peak cell phone in TikTok lore. Fate struck her with a platinum-mounted moissanite. You weren't deceived, dear. You received a morality check. Her first ending the guy clip turned into a relic. It was inundated with fresh comments, mostly laughter icons and shares of her weeping clip. She transformed into an instant meme. The moissanite mama. The lady who dropped the prize so badly she shattered it. She removed her profile in under a day. But the damage was done. The clips were ubiquitous. Her digital stage had become her digital punishment. Final note? It's been around 6 months. The quiet has been total. Following her massive online collapse, Jessica appears to have disappeared entirely. I've picked up a few details, however. Her parents, after the renewed disgrace from the moissanite incident, issued a final warning. Secure actual employment and behave maturely, or leave. She's reportedly a front desk worker at a dentist's office now. An acquaintance of an acquaintance spotted her and said she appeared unhappy. Tiffany, the devoted companion, cut ties entirely once Jessica became an online outcast. Evidently, she avoided any association with that debacle affecting her own content creator path. A few weeks post her breakdown clip, once things quieted slightly, I received a lengthy, confusing email from Jessica via a fresh address. It was a jumble of inconsistencies. She regretted it, but I had shamed her. She erred, but I had misled her. She cared for me, but I had destroyed her world. At the close, she posed one query. Why offer a false ring? Was our relationship entirely fabricated? I considered not responding, but felt she merited one last explanation. I sent back a single file. It was a capture of the instructions I provided the jeweler crafting the ring. Included was a section detailing my selection. I noted that my grandmother, married contentedly for 60 years, wore a moissanite ring. She always stated the worth lay not in the gem, but in the promise it embodied. She said a true diamond was merely pressured carbon, but genuine affection was far more valuable and scarce. I noted I desired our union founded on that ideal, on authentic worth, not apparent cost. I mentioned planning to share this tale, and the gem's significance, on our wedding day, to illustrate our shared future mattered more than any label. Below the capture, I added one closing note. The ring wasn't counterfeit, Jessica. It was an evaluation. I sought a partner who would cherish it for the promise it stood for, not its auction price. You didn't pass. The ring wasn't the deception. You were. I blocked the email right after dispatching. I don't know if she saw it. I don't mind. My retribution was never about shaming her. I merely provided the means, and she constructed her own downfall. She displayed her avarice and self-importance to the entire planet, expecting acclaim. And briefly, she received it. But reality often emerges. I retain the ring's blueprint. It's a solid blueprint. Someday, I'll commission it again. But I'll ensure the lady receiving it knows the greatest treasure is the partner, not the gem.